Now before I get to the topic at hand, I'd like to offer a slight moment of time for a commercial moment pertaining to the Bot Voice app, Narrator's Voice app, that I've been using. It's free, it's simple to use, you just type into your notebook app, write a thesis, make a love poem if you're too shy and get hit with stage fright. Shut up, Cupid, I'm not trespassing on your turf. Anyways, whatever you need, just copy it, then paste it into the box and press play. The only touchy part is that you use the proper grammatical enunciation, otherwise it'll sound like it saves into its own file and has dozens of voices and languages that can be used. Out of all the voice bot apps I've tried, this one is the easiest and most efficient. Perfect for the modern era of voice recognition and target profiling systems that are to come in the not too far off future. This app will be a vital tool for those who wish to retain their ability to possess any religious beliefs and share any religious or cultural knowledge with each other without being marked through pattern recognition systems such as speech, retinal, facial, body motion sensor pattern recognition and profiling database that will follow you every step of your life and be held over every investment and interaction with others and in life you experience, only to later be digitally mimicked and used by criminals who leave you responsible for their activities, unable to contest your innocence because your digital signature was recorded by the system as being the guilty person responsible. So don't get set up for persecution by the Antichrist, with the devil's patented quick look busy. Here comes Jesus. Virtual reality mustache disguise kit. Yes, now you can hide your identity behind our circumstantial evidence invisibility cream with holographic penis enlargement 3D carbon printing detachable penis dispenser trademark licensed. All this package in one punch for a red pop Fago soda and your goddamn soul plus shipping and handling. Note to customers, we have a strict no return policy. Call now. This is my second annual tradition that I have set into place to give thanks to Cronos, who I had encountered, not him specifically but a residual message of warning that he had set in place for future generations that may become either curious or on an important task that leads them to the inner core of the planet and find themselves getting stuck within the inner mantle core's gravitational pull. In ancient times we would dance around fires and recount the times when someone had encountered a god of someone's culture and that entity had played a role that led to great things, and so our ancestors would reenact the scenario that unfolded in a dramatized ritual that would have multiple roles of various individuals. In our modern age of technology and science we do not really perform these rituals any longer, but we do still have ways of showing appreciation. Mine is a digital version of this traditional art using cinema graphics and the art of storytelling to recount what happened, to show my gratitude for his help. So to you Cronos I extend my thanks and begin the tale of modern Nephilim. It was late one night and I had been up picking my way through a server I had hacked into that was connected to the syndicate known as the Bilderberg Foundation, a new age version of the Illuminati order. They had various files and projects involving details of Hitler's OSS department's files on their perfectarian clone race, the Thule Society. However, one file caught my attention and was extensive. It involved the select members of society that possessed the Rh-negative blood type that they had tied to being a trace marker to that of the biblical race of giants, as they were referred to as the bloodline of the Nephilim. This file stated that another biological marker that was unique and separated them from the other cultural hybrids of mankind was that of the subject of extrasensory perception skills, and that those who were born with these natural kinetic abilities were descendants of this race that was said to have been crossbred with angels who had been sent to Earth to fulfill some type of guardian role or keeper of the cosmic forces of creation known as the principalities. These angels were called the Nephilim. They had children with the mortal women here through a process that placed the grace of an angel into the womb of a mortal woman and substitute the seed from men with the spark of their divine being, causing a similar process to occur when the sperm of men enter the fertile egg during conception. The result was a hybrid version of angelic beings that possessed the power of an angel but the weaknesses of mortality, such as emotional turmoil, free will and the ability to choose to sin rather than do what the Creator instructs us to do and not to do. Angels are dictated as to what actions they take and even what they are able to think by their divine design, which is without sin, so being able to choose what their path in life they take, their fate and destiny are not there to decide. It is this aspect that the demons hate and loathe about mortals, for like the angels they must adhere to the purpose of their design. It is these fundamental principles that caused God to proclaim them abominations, for if they ever became overwhelmed by emotional turmoil or even suffering the chemical imbalance that occurs in females when they have their monthly cycles, that causes a severe loss of blood and nutrition within the blood necessary for the body's stable health. This causes a release of neurochemicals from the brain to be used in replacing those lost nutrients. Until the body restabilizes itself, they go through severe emotional mood swings because of the neurochemicals released to rebalance the body's biochemical state. In these hard-to-control emotional stages, someone of Nephilim descent could very well endanger or destroy creation. Lucifer tried to argue the fact of proper parenting would ensure this from happening, but God had said there would still be that 1% possibility, and that's all the destruction of creation would need. And so his decree, which led to the death and fall of Lucifer from heaven, the curse of Cronos that ensured that each Olympian and Titan god's son would be the one to rise up and destroy their father's kingdom and kill their own father, as well as the flood of the great cataclysm and destruction of the old kingdom that was here before us, was passed down. However, the flood of Noah's tale did not kill the children of the Nephilim completely. They merely transitioned into another form, which led to the second war in heaven, bringing with them the spirits of those who died in the flood. This stage of their ancestry was the origin of demons. Fueled by anger and rage, the divine spark twisted them into the tool of their desired force of destruction, and they waged war upon the heavens. In this stage of the conflict that occurs, we see the rise of the Leviathan, Tiamat, that old dragon, who had been made by the surviving children of the Nephilim, who return as the 9 lords of darkness. They were Samjazel, Azazel, Azrael, Kunchaniel, Raziel, Chansnail, Samael, Ananiel and Zathniel, and commanding an army of 72 demonic warlords and 890,000 souls, by rough estimate from those cast down that day. Now when I say demon when describing this era, what I mean is an individual who either died in the floodwaters, or an Nephilim child that was either hunted down by their own parents and slain, or who died in the flood as well, that had rebelled against God for his decree of their death sentence that was given to them. There were vampires and werewolves and every other nightmarish fairy tale monster you can imagine, and then some. That war ended with Azrael's death, which became the fuel behind Azazel's dominion of the children of the night as his kin, and all those who followed him being cursed by the scorching of the sunlight, the defeat of the Leviathan by Michael, who bound him as he fell from heaven through all 16 dimensions, and bound and shackled through manifested versions of him in each one he fell through, that latched him down on every plane of existence. Upzu, Zozo, Lamashtu, Mahakala, Tiamat, each name given to be summoned through invocation and fastened down on each plane, and broke the entrance to heaven, leaving forces stranded on earth that remained that way until the death of the Christ child that repaved the entrance. Also it saw the defeat and imprisonment of Azazel atop Mount Hebron, and the destruction of Samael, so it would seem, as well as the curse of Cronos that befell later generations of the sons of God. That is a brief history that leads up to Uranus as the king of the Nephilim bloodline, then succeeded by Cronos, then Zeus. This file had the entire chronological account of the war between heaven and hell, as well as archaeological objects that coincided with the tale, especially on the topic of journals the Nephilim race had accumulated over thousands of years pertaining to their power and how to use it and their understanding of it. It was all housed under some project called Project Indigo Child and another project based on Indigo called Starseed. There were other files. One I noticed that was a mantra of transcendence that had a warning on it that said that the only who should be allowed to perform this mantra would be the Shivpada Punuma, or something like that, which basically outlined one who has mastered and tempered the flame of all 4 elements and has unlocked the path to the 5th elemental force that was not listed in its detail. I looked over the required method and understood its meaning with clarity. It consisted of a harmonic resonating mantra that controlled the vibrations of the chakra energy and the vibrational energy of the four elements, converging them together as one and maintaining complete equilibrium with all the energies as you preform the Kundalini mantra. This process, when preformed by one-of-a-kind, tempers and merges us with very planet itself. When I preformed the mantra, I suddenly knew the entire planet's ecostructure. I knew which way the winds flowed, I knew the direction of every stream, I knew the entire planet's cycle of life. So this begins the journey that I undertook to try and fix the major issue that was leading towards the destruction of the Earth, and that was loss of our magnetic pole stability that was causing the Earth to wobble dangerously close to falling out of its orbital path and becoming a rouge planet. Our rotation was speeding up and scientists did not know what to do. So I took the one possible problem they had no way of finding out, and that was whether the anomaly was caused by a change in our planet's iron ore and nickel deposits that were within the inner core of the mantle. I planned on using this technique to observe and assess the problem. As it turns out, my ancestors had designed this technique as it was the duty of Atlas that was to monitor the activity of the inner regions of the planet. My projected avatar state had taken an eon-like transition, and as I fused with the different elements I encountered along the way allowed me to pass through layer after layer of the Earth. It was not that the elements of the Earth came alive, but more of the fact that I had become alive within the elements. Down I dove through the deep underground layers, through what seemed like an ocean beneath the ocean, deep under the sediment crust, but it was actually a filtration system that runs the ocean's waters through a type of natural irrigation network that revitalizes the nutrients within the water as it flows back to the surface. As I reached the mantle core, I noticed a huge gap between the bottom of the sediment crust layer and the magma core of the Earth. I stopped at the edge before it dropped into the lava sphere of the inner core and observed the situation. I saw that the nickel had become displaced because of the lack of iron ore due to mining. The lack of iron ore caused the equal state of balance and positioning of the nickel to become unstable and repositioned, which was causing the wobble in our orbital pattern. Something the Titans were known for was their mastery over the elemental forces, which can best be described as having the natural ability to 3D carbon print molecular structures, thus giving us access to that elemental force. So making an element as heavy as iron ore wasn't impossible, just difficult because of how heavy it is with fused particles. I had to work quickly though, because I could already feel the heat on my face and patches of my skin began to feel cold and stone-like. It seems that if you transition for too long, it begins to alter your physical form, molecular structure as well. I was almost finished when I noticed I had made too much iron and had to reposition myself within the lava sphere to get a better angle. That is when I noticed I was stuck. The inner core puts out a heavy magnetic field and my embodiment was tangled within it. I couldn't just ditch the form as it was tethered to me, and I began to see the flickers of flames on the back of my eyelids when I closed them. It was like I was phasing into the elements I had transitioned into while I was down there. I started to panic and remembered the tales of the Titans. If this was Atlas's dominion, then maybe he left a message for those in need of help. I swept over the inner core looking for traces of mystic runes or anything, and that is when Cronos appeared. He displayed a picture translation to what he was explaining, and that I had to retrace my steps and elemental phases I went through, so that what was backwards must become that which is ahead. I did so, and slowly I began to rise towards the surface. As I grew closer, the more I swore I could hear and then feel the rumble of my footsteps. Then my Titan form broke through to the surface and I could feel the cool air on my face in the Titan form, which was odd. I transitioned out of the elemental forces and then cleansed my life force with my wings I had designed, comprised of each feather being tuned to a specific region of my life force, so that every part of it can be accessed and diverted to its normal fluctuation levels, and cleansing the impure energies from my essence. The message from Cronos only asked one thing in payment for his help, and it was to pass the truth of his message and what occurred for others to know, and know that it was Cronos who had helped, so that his people and kingdom would not be forgotten to time. skills. Natural abilities are extrasensory enhanced perception, various kinetic abilities including advanced astral projection skills, enhanced clairvoyance and aura-triggered conscious controlled premonition, ascended divination of higher plane entities and celestial perception, cosmic awareness and understanding beyond the limits of most religions' standard limits including that of the Hindu incarnate known as Buddha, able to manipulate the events of the future with accurate precision as well as influence the events of the past without disturbing the motion or momentum of the space-time continuum, can project himself into the dreams and thoughts of others and capable of appearing across select points in time and space and visually appearing to others in the last moments of a person's life in the range of near-death experiences, can take possession of both animate and inanimate objects, holds a strong influence over objects within the kinetic field of motion up to diverting the path of objects of extreme mass up to that of 156 meter in diameter asteroids by demonstration but most likely can exceed objects of larger mass, has advanced influence over elemental forces such as disasters including earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, can create cyclone level 5 storms and supercell storms exceeding previous recorded strength, Arctic blizzards and tsunamis.